Hello YouTube. Throughout a number of my prior videos, we've looked at ways to effectively knock out certain countries. We've looked at the fall of France, we've looked at trying to do a World War I Operation Sea Lion, we've looked at trying to take out Austria-Hungary, and in the overall strategy videos, I strongly favor a Central Power strategy going after Russia, trying to knock them out quickly, so I don't think we need a specific video about that. And we've also seen something similar when it comes to the Ottoman Empire. We've kind of covered how to really put the pressure on them in my other strategy videos. So I was thinking about the countries we haven't looked at, that it wouldn't be redundant, and there's really two. There's the United States, and I don't think anyone would disagree that that is not really a target for any of the Central Powers. If they're in any kind of position to even remotely take out the United States, then the Allies probably should surrender before that point. And when it comes to Germany, so there's, Germany, the other one, we haven't done a video on that yet. They are so heavily armed, and even if units from France marched without any opposition into Berlin, it would take them 1, 2, 3, 4. It would take them 4 turns to get there. For England, because with tournament rules, they would have to stop in Sea Zone 10, unload. So even if Germany completely moved out of the way, they'd have to move over, drop off on turn 1. It would take them 2 turns to get to Berlin. Russia, the same thing. If Germany completely left itself open, they could march in and get there in 2 turns. But because of how much Germany has, that's not going to happen. They're going to have to fight their way in. So no matter what, you're not going to knock them out to economic or political collapse, and it's going to take them, or it's going to take the Allies at an absolute minimum plausible. You're talking, really, you're probably talking about 4 turns or more. So a take out Germany quick strategy, aside from, all of the Allies try and focus on them, I don't think is really plausible. Besides, the Allies, whether the Central Powers go after France primarily or they go after Russia, aren't really going to be in a position where they can heavily, really kind of invade German territory starting on the very first turn. So that really isn't a plausible approach. So I'm going to put the quick invasion and knockout of Germany within the first couple of turns as almost as implausible as taking out the United States. I mean, in theory, yes, it's possible to take out Germany if they completely leave themselves open, whereas it's not with the United States. But I decided after thinking about it that I'm not going to make a video about Germany just because it's so implausible. But with that said, that leaves me with one country, which is Italy. And we've kind of talked about that a little bit in a video about taking out France, because taking out Italy is a big part in taking out France. But we didn't make a video specifically about the fall of Rome, and that's what I wanted to do today. Now you'll notice that not all the pieces are on the board. France is missing some navy, obviously England, Russia, the Ottomans are not set up, and some of Germany's units also are not set up over here in Prussia and Silesia. Now the reason for that is that regardless of what strategy the Central Powers use, I'm going to assume that at a minimum those forces in those 2 provinces have to be devoted to Russia. You can't completely leave yourself open over there. And probably some additional forces. I could have left some Austrian forces off the board for a similar reason, but because Austria is going to be doing a little bit more, I wanted to go ahead and completely lay out Austria. So our strategy here isn't an end-all be-all, because Italy is more of a minor ally than a major one like England, France, or Russia, and later the US. But it will help the Central Powers out a lot if they can take out Italy. So we're going to do a couple things. I'm not going to get into individual purchases. We talked about those in other videos, but I will recommend getting a fighter for the simple fact that, yes, it could be useful against Russia, but Italy can't afford to build a fighter. And so you will always have air supremacy pretty much, unless France somehow gets involved Excuse me. But Germany's going to do some things to France to hopefully prevent that from happening. So the first couple moves are going to be pretty standard. Of course, we're going to pick up some guys here. We're going to try and take Tuscany. We'll get a coastal bombardment over there to prevent these Italian troops from coming up and reinforcing Venice. Now, as far as the rest, if you think there's a good chance that France, with its navy that I didn't set up, is going to swoop across, land in Albania, thereby giving Italy free units on its first turn, if you think they will do that, you want to leave a couple guys here in Trieste, a couple infantry, just so they can't come in for free and really cause you a big headache. But if you think that the odds of that are pretty slim, then you don't need to hold any units back, and you can dump all these guys in here. In fact, what I would truly recommend, even if you think that they're going to land in Albania, I wouldn't attack it, to attack Albania, simply because units are stronger on defense than they are on offense, and then you have these guys further away from your main battlefront. But what I would say is move them all, except for these two in Tuscany, move them all up to Venice, and then you can just move some guys from Vienna or Budapest down. Because ultimately, the guys in Budapest you're going to be using to focus on Serbia. Depending on how much you want to send, you might send a few of them up to Galatia up here. So really, you're going to want to send your Vienna guys down here if any are necessary. No other guys can get over to Vienna, or I'm sorry, to Venice. And the advantage if you take out Tuscany is too great to not divert two forces or two units over there. So you want to make sure you do that and then send your maximum forces into Venice to try and knock out as many Italian troops as possible. And then you'll do whatever you want to do in Serbia, and pretty much the rest of your guys, what I normally do is send the rest of them up to Galatia to hold Russia off. Now, if you think that Russia is going to be a slower player and not be as aggressive, you could move a few more forces over here. They can't get to Venice. Just position them somewhere so they can get their next turn if you really want to do that. I don't usually, but if you think you can afford it, then absolutely you could try something like that. Now, Austria takes its turn, it does its stuff. Italy takes some casualties, then Russia goes, then Germany goes. So France, who can come in and aid Italy, will not get a chance to go before two Central Powers take their turn. So now we're up to Germany. Now Germany needs to do a couple things. It needs to, of course, hold Russia at bay at a minimum. It needs to cause France to sweat a little bit, so France doesn't feel like it can divert troops easily down into the Italian front, but it also needs to put pressure on Italy. So what I would recommend for that is all the units that can go into Belgium, to really put the pressure on France so they start worrying about their northern flank. But you have this army over in Munich that can't get up to the front. You can take Switzerland with that. Well, now wait a second. Alsace is defenseless. Well, you have one of two things you can do. You have units in Kiel, you have units in Hanover. Either one or both of those you can move down to Alsace. So let's say that we're just trying to defend against Russia. We're going to move all these guys down to Alsace. Our fighter can't actually make it there, so we might have to do something creative with that fighter just to make sure that he's not in a territory by himself. But we could, in theory, move all those guys to Alsace. So now they're in a position that you're going to take Switzerland on our turn. You're going to take Belgium. France has to defend Lorraine. It has to defend Picardy, and you can reinforce Switzerland if you want to, or with your units. With your units in Switzerland. Now Italy is feeling the pressure on its turn. It really wants to move these guys over to help protect Venice and prevent it from falling. But if it does that, if it moves, more than just a couple units away, now Germany's going to come in and take Piedmont. And if that falls, then the road to Tuscany and the road to Rome is wide open for the Central Powers. So Italy can't really afford to lose either of those. at that point, France is in a position where it has to do something to take the pressure off Italy, either move in defensively or try to attack Germany and Switzerland so Germany can't use these units to move on. Those are really the only two options, at least as far as that portion of the front goes, that are open to France. And I think that at that point, if France doesn't do the right thing, one of two things will happen. If it pulls too much away, then it's going to leave itself very vulnerable here. Germany moves in, and you have the fall of France. If it doesn't move enough out of France and into Italy, then Italy's going to fall, and then a couple turns later, it's going to have to deal with Germany up here and Austria down here. So France is going to have to be extremely careful. Can they balance things out? Possibly. But it's going to be extremely difficult for them to do so, and especially if they don't see it coming and they haven't thought about how they might deal with a situation like this. I think that they're far less likely to position their troops correctly, and ultimately, I think that they are going to lean on the side of, well, I want to help my ally, but I need to make sure France is secure. And so I think you're far more likely to see Italy fall in this situation than France. Now, what about Russia? Because we did move a lot of units away from the Russian front as Germany. We did not move our troops in Berlin. And so we could use them to move over to reinforce in the east. If Austria, let's say that Austria did not move extra units away from the Eastern Front so that it could send more into Venice. Let's say it does the standard thing, and it does not believe that France is going to liberate Albania. So, I don't know, maybe it does something like this. And I'm not counting out units as well as I normally would, but let's just say that at the end of its turn, things look something like this. I mean, give or take a few units on Austria's turn, or at the end of Austria's turn. So now Russia has to think very carefully about going offensively, because it could, if it tries to move into Germany, it weakens Poland. Austria moves in. If it doesn't hold enough in reserve and tries to fortify Poland too much for an attack, maybe on its second turn, now Ukraine is open. Austria easily moves in there. Austria is going to take Serbia, more than likely on its turn, which means even if Italy lands in Albania, they can turn around and take that. The Ottomans are going to be here, because that's really not going to be, they're not going to have to worry about that a whole lot. There are plenty of forces in Galicia. They can deal with Romania if they want to attack or just reinforce Budapest. Now, Budapest is worth 6, and I would really prefer for that not to be contested if I'm Austria, so I would normally attack Romania. So Russia's not in the greatest position if Austria does that. And if Germany reinforces with just what's in Berlin, or maybe it moves what is in Hanover or Kiel, because remember we had both Kiel and Hanover, we decided to move them both down into Alsace. We could move one of those east as well if we want to put a little more pressure on Russia. I would need to move the pieces around, really load up the entire board, and see how Austria's rolls go and everything, and how aggressive I think Russia would be before I could make that call. But I think that this kind of setup really puts a lot of pressure on Italy and on France if you move units from both of those territories down to Alsace. And I think that if you're trying to really catch the Allies by surprise, then I think that you would want to devote all those extra forces there to just try and overwhelm them before they have a chance to deal with it, knowing that Russia is probably going to be pushed back on its heels for the first turn or two before they get a chance to go on the offensive, and then by that point, hopefully, you've really knocked out Italy or France. So I really lean towards moving both of them down and then leaving the forces in Berlin over to head east, and then all new units really that you put in Berlin are going to head east. So you really need to accomplish or come very near to accomplish your goals just with these units here. And then if Austria is able to supplement some forces from Vienna, just keep sending them over into Venice until it falls, maybe a couple turns in, then that's what you want to do. And then Italy can't defend both Piedmont and Venice. Germany doesn't really want to lose Switzerland, but it can. Ultimately, it's just there to put the pressure on Italy, so it can't devote as much to fight Austria, and then Austria can take Venice, and then Italy falls. I don't, like I said, I don't expect France. If it does help Italy, I don't expect it to send a ton for fear of it falling up north. So when it comes to taking out Italy, that is what I would do. And like I said, that the fall of Rome is just a first step. It kind of potentially opens up the Mediterranean, gets the Central Powers some additional IPCs, and really on the west it opens the door to France. But even if the Central Powers don't want to do that, it weakens France substantially, and weakens Russia also, because now Austria doesn't have to keep sending guys into the meat grinder that normally is Venice. They can devote everything against Russia, and then in terms of production, they're pretty equivalent. So if Russia has to worry about the full force of Austria plus some Ottomans, even if England builds up in Egypt, even if the Ottomans just send, a few units up north, and then they've got Germany heading over, then Russia is going to fall pretty quickly, and then that's pretty much the game. So that's what I would do. That is my strategy for taking out Italy to cause the fall of Rome. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any thoughts, any new types of videos, any strategies you'd like me to take a look at, please feel free to put them in the comments. Have been through all of the countries, I think about twice at this point, and then looked at a few individual strategies. So I'm always open to new ideas. Or if there's a different version of this game, I'd be happy to review that for you. I have this one. I have Axis and Allies Revised. Let's see. Oh, and I have Axis and Allies 1942 2nd edition. So any of those you want me to take a look at, or if there are any other strategy games, I'd be happy to take a look at those for you.